Do you know that tens of millions of lobsters are consumed worldwide each year? Yet few people realise that these lobsters begin their journey in the deep ocean. In today's video, we'll follow fishermen out to sea to explore how they catch lobsters, the special techniques they use, and the challenges they face in order to bring fresh lobsters to your dining table. Fishermen usually wake up and prepare everything very early in the morning to make the most of the daylight. The number of buoys is carefully calculated to match the fishing route. Bait is prepared in advance and placed into separate bins for easy transport. These steps may seem simple, but they largely determine the success of each trip. Once everything is ready, they begin their journey. The captain tracks the GPS on the screen and maps out the route. Travel time depends on the fishing location. When they arrive, the fishermen first drop the buoys and anchors. As the anchor grips the seabed, the movement of the boat drags the traps down into the water. One after another, the traps sink beneath the waves. While waiting, the fishermen prepare bait for the next round. The bait is usually herring or mackerel because their strong smell attracts lobsters. The bait is placed into mesh bags tied at the top like this. After the traps are dropped into the sea, fishermen let them soak in the water for several hours or up to a full day, depending on the location and the expected lobster catch. The bait inside starts releasing its scent into the water, and lobsters nearby pick up the scent and move towards the traps. The traps are specially designed so lobsters can enter but can hardly escape. If the traps are left in for too long, other species may eat up all the bait, affecting the lobster quality. Each trap like this can hold anywhere from 5 to 15 lobsters, depending on the trap design and the size of the lobsters. Lobsters live in cold and temperate waters. In North America, they are found in Maine, Alaska, and the eastern waters of Canada. They hide in coral reefs or under large rocks at depths of 13 to 165 feet in order to avoid predators. Adults typically reach sizes of 8 to 24 inches and can weigh around 1.3 to 9 pounds. When the soak time is over, fishermen approach the buoy and use a gaff hook to pull up the trap line. They grab the rope, and with the help of the hydraulic hauler, the trap is slowly lifted up out of the water. While hauling, fishermen check to make sure the lobsters don't slip out. Each trap takes a few minutes to pull up, depending on the depth of the fishing grounds and the weight of the trap. Traps are usually made of metal. In some areas, they may be built from wood or other materials. Here's how fishermen craft a wooden trap by hand. On each trip, fishermen usually bring along between 20 and 60 traps. Fishermen take the lobsters out of the traps and place them on trays or in bins. They measure each lobster with a special gauge. Market-sized lobsters are set aside, while female lobsters or undersized ones are released back into the ocean. For experienced fishermen, judging lobster size can be so easy that they don't even need to measure before tossing them back as in this case. The measurement for market-sized lobsters is taken from the lobster's eye socket to the end of the carapace. If the length is greater than 3 inches, it qualifies as market size and is prepared for storage. Any lobster with a shell shorter than 3 inches or weighing less than around 0.44 to 0.66 pounds is returned to the sea to continue to grow. Once the lobsters are removed from the trap, fishermen use a special tool with a hole at the end to thread the rope through the bait bag. The bag is then secured inside the trap for the next set. Some fishermen prefer to not tie the bait bag and simply place it inside the trap before closing the lid for the next drop. For female lobsters, fishermen mark them by cutting a small notch in their tail. This way, other fishermen can recognize them if caught again. The females are then released back into the sea to continue to reproduce, and this helps to protect the marine resources and maintain the lobster population. Most of the time, right after lobsters are removed from the traps, fishermen measure them immediately. But in some cases, hauling up the rest of the traps takes priority. So the lobsters are placed into holding trays. Once all the traps have been reset, the fishermen go back to measuring and sorting the lobsters to make the most of their time at sea. In certain places, after removing lobsters from the traps, fishermen place them into tubes. This makes it easier to secure their claws afterwards. Claw banding is a critical step once lobsters are caught. It can directly affect the market value of each lobster. Without bands, lobsters kept together may fight and injure one another. Banding also ensures safety for both fishermen and processors. The claws are secured with rubber bands. Fishermen use a special tool designed for the task. They load the rubber band onto the tip of the tool, then squeeze the handle so the band stretches. At that moment, they slip it over the lobster's claw. When the pressure is released, the band tightens and holds the claw in place. This process is repeated quickly for both claws, making sure the bands are snug but not overly tight. Besides trapping, in some places people also use spearfishing to catch lobsters. This method requires fishermen to have good diving experience and strong swimming skills. The time spent underwater depends on how long it takes to find lobsters and on the diver's ability. Fishermen use a spear gun powered by rubber bands, with a metal spear tip sharp enough to pierce through the lobster's hard shell. This method is often popular in tourism because of its high hands-on experience. And it also works well for families living near the coast who want to supplement their meals. Since lobsters are relatively slow-moving, divers can also catch them by hand in order to avoid injuring them. In 2024, lobster harvests have reached staggering numbers. Canada led the way with around 88,000 short tons, followed by the US with 43,000 short tons. Achieving such an impressive figure relies not only on natural resources, but also on effective management. Alongside fishing activities, enforcement agencies regularly patrol and inspect lobster boats. They monitor compliance with regulations on seasons, minimum size limits, and allowable catch numbers. Undersized lobsters or females carrying eggs must be released back into the sea in order to help to sustain their population. Thanks to these measures, lobster resources are protected for the long term, ensuring a balance between harvesting and conservation. After sorting, fishermen place the lobsters into seawater tanks to keep them fresh. The water temperature is usually maintained at around 39 to 46 degrees Fahrenheit in order to preserve their quality. The tanks are covered and secured on the boat to prevent damage during transport. Once the trip at sea ends, the lobsters are brought back to shore. At the dock, fishermen use cranes to unload them. They'll sell the lobsters to local buyers or processing companies. The lobsters are placed into containers, weighed, and priced according to their size. Lobster is one of the most expensive types of seafood in the United States. Live lobsters retail for around $30 to $60 a pound, while wholesale prices average around $12.49 per pound depending on size. Before entering the processing line, lobsters are checked again for weight and separated into different containers. Next, they're split into two parts, the body and the claws. The body is sorted and packaged separately. The claws are boiled, the meat is removed, and finally packed into bags and stored in cold storage at around 32 to 25 degrees Fahrenheit to ensure quality. Lobster is commonly found in seafood restaurants and hotels. It's often steamed to preserve its natural sweetness. In addition, it can be prepared in dishes like garlic butter, stir fry, or creamy sauces. Lobster harvesting is strictly seasonal, focusing on the months when lobsters have reached market size. This helps to protect juveniles and breeding females. As a result, fishermen's income is concentrated to be within this season, with each trip at sea bringing in around $4,000 to $6,000. To earn this income, fishermen must face many challenges: working overnight, long hours, and intense workloads. Each trip can last many hours or several days, requiring stamina and strong health to keep up with the job. Lobster is not only a high-value seafood, but also the result of the fishermen's hard work. Every trip, from preparation, setting traps and sorting, to storage, demands patience and effort. That's why every lobster that reaches the customer's table carries not just the flavour of the ocean, but also the sweat, dedication and hopes of those who live their lives tied to the sea. Amidst the vast oceans, where humans and nature constantly challenge each other, from heavy net hauls to heart-pounding encounters with massive fish species, now let's explore 30 of the most impressive fishing moments ever captured. This is more than just fishing. It's an offshore operation. From above, helicopters skim across the waves, searching for signs of migrating tuna. The pilots scan the sea, looking for ripples, patches of murky water, or seabirds flying low. The clear indicators of a tuna school gathering below. Once coordinates are confirmed, the signal is immediately relayed to the massive vessel below. The giant machinery springs into action. Nets are deployed with pinpoint accuracy, encircling a wide swath of ocean in just minutes. It's a seamless coordination between the sky and sea. Fishermen rely on high-tech equipment, speed and skill, all to trap the entire school before it can dive deep and disappear. On this ship, there are no massive nets or large-scale machinery. Each person holds a fishing rod, engaging in a one-on-one battle with oceanic tuna weighing hundreds of pounds. Every pull is a test of wit and strength. Each tug of the line is an unforgiving clash between man and the raw power of the sea. On the deck, the atmosphere is as tense as a tight rope. Every move by the fisherman flows in perfect rhythm, like a finely tuned machine. Every few seconds, another massive tuna is hurled onto the deck. Global mackerel harvests reach around 8 billion pounds annually, with major fishing areas including the North Atlantic and North Pacific. When mackerel begin migrating along the deepwater edges off western Scotland, the big fishing vessels set out to sea. Each voyage can last around a month, yet the fish remain fresh and high in quality. The global mackerel market is projected to reach $403 million in 2024. Modern vessels and strict fishing protocols are key factors driving the growth of the mackerel industry. After dropping nets hundreds of meters into the ocean, fishermen begin attaching hauling lines to the net system. Once hooked in place, the hydraulic machinery kicks in, slowly retrieving the net. A giant mesh bag weighing several tons gradually surfaces, inflated by thousands of red snapper trapped inside. As the net bag is pulled alongside the ship, the red snappers are poured directly into freezing holes. Load after load, thousands of pounds of fish tumble down, marking yet another successful haul. In the icy waters of the Bering Sea, while many are still fast asleep, pollock fishing vessels are already in position. Cables are thoroughly inspected, iron hooks secured to anchor points, all in preparation for dropping massive nets hundreds of meters down to the ocean floor. As the net descends, it opens like a giant funnel, silently enclosing the schools of fish below. When the net bag begins surfacing behind the ship, it's brimming with pollock. This is the most critical moment. The fishing crew springs into action, using cranes and winches to lift the multi-ton net onto the deck. Harvesting and processing salmon is also a tough job, but one well worth the effort. Thousands of Alaskan fishermen eagerly await summer, the season when they can earn their income by catching and processing wild Alaska salmon. Did you know that during a typical Alaska salmon season, over 150 million salmon are harvested? This totals more than 742 million pounds. The average revenue is around $230 million, with some years reaching nearly 800 million. The salmon industry is Alaska's most important fishery. The mackerel fishing season in South Korea and Japan typically runs from October to March. As water temperatures rise, mackerel migrate to western seas, increasing in abundance. Mackerel caught by nets tend to have lower meat quality than line-caught fish, as the flesh is more prone to blood pooling. However, net fishing remains a widespread method because it allows fishermen to maximize their harvest in active fishing grounds. Now we head to the frigid waters near the North Atlantic. Today's target, capelin, small, fast and schooling in dense swarms, yet highly valuable in today's food processing and animal feed industries. Engines roar and hydraulic arms work non-stop to gather the fish into a tightly packed net bag trailing behind the ship. With such massive numbers, a single haul can capture millions of capelin. Wave after wave is pumped directly from the net onto the deck and then straight into an onboard freezing and processing system. Fully closed and efficient. Japanese fishermen often place fixed nets near known salmon migration routes, especially in areas where salmons return to spawn. This method is common in regions like Hokkaido, where salmon runs are the most concentrated. Most Japanese fishing operations take place within 200 nautical miles of land. In 2024, the agreed quota with Russia for harvesting Japanese and chum salmon reached 4 million pounds. With advanced sonar technology, the vessel can pinpoint the location of anchovy schools. Once detected, the entire system moves like clockwork. Nets are cast wide, encircling the school as it swims near the surface. Not long after, the net bag swells behind the ship, glittering silver with tons of anchovies thrashing inside. This is the freezing Northern Sea, home to deep-dwelling cod that thrive in the cold, murky waters. Aboard a modern vessel, the crew begins a long work shift. Bottom trawl nets are dropped hundreds of meters deep, reaching the cod's habitat. Each cod pulled up is the reward for hours of relentless effort and weeks spent at sea. After many days adrift in the Bering Sea, the captain gives the command for the final pot drop. Hours later, heavy steel traps are hauled up, and inside are giant king crabs. The deck bursts into cheers and laughter. Numb hands keep working non-stop, sorting, measuring, and placing the crabs into holding tanks. This is the result of experience, patience, and a bit of luck. The sea's reward for those who never give up. Do you know how distant water fleets catch squid offshore? dozens of fishing lines are lowered into the water under bright lights, each equipped with a specialized squid hook. When a squid gets caught, a rotating reel automatically flips it onto a metal rack. Baskets are placed underneath to catch the falling squid. Squid is a key catch for fishermen along the Chinese coast. Squid jigging machines are a signature feature of these distant water fleets, allowing Chinese fishermen to harvest around 1.4 billion pounds of squid annually. Bristol Bay is the most productive salmon ecosystem in North America, unmatched in output. This watershed hosts the largest sockeye salmon migration on Earth, accounting for around 46% of the world's wild sockeye salmon. The salmon fishing industry is worth over $1.5 billion and supports nearly 20,000 jobs across the US. In the Sea of Okhotsk, fishermen catch 12 tons of scallops in just 4 hours. Scallops are harvested from the ocean floor using a large dredge with a mesh bag. The vessel travels at 3.2 nautical miles per hour, and the trap line is 390 feet long. The duration of gear towing varies on depending surrounding vessel conditions. The first haul yields over 4 tons, a good catch. Fishermen immediately prepare for the next round and begin scallop harvesting. During the second catch, sorting of scallops begins on board. In the frigid northern seas off Japan, where waves crash against the hulls day and night, fishermen perform a traditional ritual, catching king crabs with nets. This method requires precise net placement according to the current, and timing is crucial when pulling the nets back up. Dozens of bluefin tuna burst to the surface, thrashing violently until they're exhausted and subdued. At that moment, fishermen tie ropes to their tails and haul them aboard. This net encircling technique is considered one of the oldest forms of industrial fishing in the world. This method is ideal for harvesting large quantities while preserving fish quality, meeting the strict standards for major markets like Japan, the US, and Europe. Let's head to the rich waters of the Azores to witness the thrilling chase of the open sea. Massive marlins hold a special allure for anglers. The moment the hook latches onto its jaw, the giant fish bolts like a whirlwind, spraying water across the deck. Even a moment's distraction can snap the rod, break the line, or worse, pull the angler overboard. After hours of struggle, the shimmering blue beast is finally brought alongside the vessel. In the northern waters of Ireland, a traditional fishing vessel is hauling in its massive catch amidst the fierce open ocean. With a crew of up to 50 people, they not only battle freezing storms, but also face intense competition from modern industrial fishing fleets. Likewise, competition in this global red snapper fishery is fierce. This species commands high commercial value and is in high demand across international markets. During red snapper trawling, fishermen must monitor net tension and adjust as needed to avoid tearing. At the same time, they must take care to not damage the fish's skin or flesh, crucial for fresh market sales or export. In deep sea areas, fishermen use trawlers that drag nets along the ocean floor to gather cod. They must carefully adjust net depth and vessel speed in order to avoid damaging the seabed or catching too many non-target species. With a yield of 725 million pounds from high-capacity fishing vessels, this industry supplies a significant portion of cod to the global market. Conquering an angry sea monster is no easy task. At any moment, a giant halibut can unleash violent thrashes.
Boom!
Each time it struggles, the boat might be pulled off course, and fishermen must seize every opportunity to regain control. Even the slightest mistake can allow the fish to turn the tide, dragging the battle on for hours.
Say my name! That grub don't lie. Wow. One to go.
The crew prepares the long lines with care. One by one, baited hooks are cast into the sea. This method allows them to harvest millions of pollock. Each line is carefully lowered to different depths, targeting where the fish most often roam. A well-coordinated crew ensures every line is tightly managed to maximize the catch. Far out at sea, massive ships brace for the challenge of catching giant tuna. Each fish, weighing hundreds of pounds, is in a relentless fight. But when the prize is finally hauled onto the deck, every fisherman knows that the effort was worthwhile. This work never stops. Each haul brings in a massive catch, helping to maintain a steady supply for the market. The net spreads wide, sinking in a vast circle to encircle the school of fish, and in just a moment, thousands are trapped in the mesh. As tensions build with more fish caught, the winch comes alive. It pulls the nets up onto the deck from the deep, bringing the fresh fish aboard. Beneath the cool blue ocean, brave divers enter a mysterious and magical world. With simple but effective gear, they move gracefully along coral reefs and colourful sea floors, their eyes scanning for octopuses hidden in rocky crevices. Across Australia's vast waters, modern shrimp trawlers operate at full capacity. Skilled fishermen work tirelessly, supported by advanced technologies from trawl nets to precise GPS systems that pinpoint shrimp locations with remarkable precision. Nets are lowered, hauling up fresh shrimp in no time. A smooth coordination between machinery and people keeps the shrimp pristine from ocean floors to consumer. Thanks to this modern system, massive net bags full of fish are brought aboard swiftly and precisely. Each lift brings hundreds of tons of fresh fish from the ocean depths, showcasing the incredible efficiency of these machines. While fishermen no longer pull the nets by hand, they still play a vital role in operating and managing the equipment, helping the vessel boost its catch continuously. Every day, such a ship can harvest hundreds of tons of fish, ensuring a rich supply for global markets.